feel like the punk music isn't loud enough. So that's not bad. Thanks everybody. This is a really new poem called Undervalue. I'm outgrowing small but swimming in medium. I contain multitudes of better put together people with painted nails who've been fitted for their bras, who keep their darts in smart rolled sleeves that never emerge bald and damp from the dryer, who wear expensive period panties and never have to go home to change at lunch, who own beard trimmers and get fresh razors in the post, and never recline against trees at the dog park, never wear the tawny Rorschach all day on their backs. Multitudes of homeless and also instructors called professors, constructive advice givers and actual listeners, a mother and a father and the parts of a person they put in Ziploc bags to feed their iguana if they're not concerned about its cholesterol. I am undoing my cufflinks, which are things I've definitely ever worn. There are eyes I've drawn with great lashes on the tips of each finger. My hands are slipping into the sleeves of my wrist skin and on inside, till they're swimming free in the warm jacket of my torso, and I walk with empty arms like a February night in Ottawa. It's blacker than the inside of a beer can in here, but if I am tender, I can touch the face of the sister who tried to eat me in the womb and lost, and Cedric the dog, who anxiously chewed through all our window frames as if to insist on the presence of his soul. The wind through the keyholes sounds like dolphins orgasming on fire. It smells like a catcher's crotch. There is no housing authority in all the slums, on all the planets of the multiverse, that would allow so many people to live in a hole like this. But if I am tender, I will rent to them all and install the warm, welcoming red light of exit. And then this one was written around the same time, so it shares a few of the images. Doesn't have a title yet. You have to stop warning strangers in the park about the strangers in the park. The round things are flat now. Hammering's only numbed your hand. Play the light in your palm before the candle. Cast warm columns of flesh and flame on the wall. The light hurls itself at the closing door, singing like a church bell. A tiny Australian cattle dog licks your face and claims the sheltering trunk with her whiskey dark stream. How it's marked you. Laughter, ebbing orangely in the flames of a hallway of untethered rooms. Fruit plucked living from the tree, indistinguishable from your skin. Mushrooms deploy hurriedly in mulch kept damp by shade. In your memory, we are still tangled under where the archways join, our bower off of Elgin Street. You are still begging off the fourth session that would join your tattooed heart in earnest. You are watching the weeds split concrete, and writing and drinking and thinking, and the concrete is time and love, and the weeds are time and love, and you are breaking open the face of your house to watch the yard roll onward, bulldozing the fences and white houses and farms all the way to the distance where the horizon turns away. I'm walking into dappled water with my hand upraised, so you will know where I am when the rest is gone. I'll be swimming forever, even in my sleep. It was such pleasure being everything, lighting fields of golden wire on our skin. Do any of you know what hot knives are, or doing hot knives? All right, I got good. This is a pretty good uptake for hot knives. All right, I don't think I need to explain it then. Ask the people next to you. There's about 50% willing to admit it. This is called "This Is Not the Worst Party I've Been to." Everybody's got one. One smokes hash from a plastic bottle in the corner and isn't sharing. One shouts, "I just want to fuck my husband," and waves at him as he attempts to blend his patterned shirt into the potted plants. One sits in an armchair in the middle of the room and vomits quietly down her chest when the spirits move her. Let's have good ideas. Let's do hot knives. Cover me while I slip this Texas Mickey into my cropped pleather jacket. I'll be your Miss Piggy if you'll be my Jim Henson. I want you to the wrist, the elbow. I wish I were more ashamed or less. Just kidding. I wish you would shut up. You don't know about the little stones biting into my knees, but bitch about my teeth. I'm not a sliver of tongue and a beak. If I were your hen, I'd piss on your eggs. The pebbles leave shapes on my plucked skin like acne scars in the moon. But I still want to go back there again and again with some convenient you. Remember when all of us used to fuck in this room at once, says drunk wife? What happened? They installed white carpeting. Soon she'll hire me to steam clean her fat house and mother the kid. So kiss my bike wine mouth. Kiss my small town, my brogue tongue, my hips twitching like a fly-bitten horse. I'll breathe cloves in your mouth so you cry like dragons do. I like this. You don't have to like me. Do you like me? You don't have to like me. But do you like me? I am watering all the potted plants with a yellow beer can. I'm having the best time, and you're just going home. I'm gonna do one that summons a great Ottawa memory for me. I was shortlisted for the New Love Award a couple years ago, and there were two stages. The one stage was like there was a stage for the musicians, and there was a stage like slightly lower for the poets. And I was like, I want to get at least a little bit on the big stage, and then I'll go down to the lectern where I'm supposed to read. And I tried to jump from the floor onto the big stage. It was like 3 or 4 feet high, and my vertical leap was like 2.25 feet. So I just bombed in front of everyone. It was at like Writers' Fest, and I didn't know like anyone. Anyway, this was the poem, which is about an earlier moment of bewilderment. This is called James, Who Was Pale and American. The dead baby bird was small in my small palms. I dropped it when my mother said, though I didn't know why. James looked carefully at the red spot on my right hand and told me that it was the first sign of germ affection. James knew things I didn't, like what an American was, and why being one meant you had to go sit in the coat room while Canada wheezed each morning. I had a strange name and a mushroom cut and believed him. Each morning I was sure the spot had spread, that the bird and I had shared something of death. James and I played soccer alone against our 4 friends. Between losses, he told me his dad played for the Tigers and let him have a knife, and that peeing on the spot would make it go away. None of these things were true, and soon after I moved away. When I look at the birthmark now, I see him, pale in the room with the umbrellas, sunless as the underside of a stone. And this is an Ottawa poem. Other people, see, I think what's funny about, like, I've done this poem other places, and they're like, oh, it's funny because Ottawa's boring. And then people from here are like, it's funny because Ottawa's, it can be boring. So this is from the Ottawa Citizen. I love Ottawa. I've lived here 9 years. They've been the best years of my life. But our newspaper has slow days. So this is from an actual headline you might remember last year. This is called Raccoon/Citizen. Headless dog found in Rideau Canal, actually dead raccoon with head, is a headline. The story goes on to say briefly that from the bridge, someone thought they saw a body. But then the cops pulled up to clarify that it was not in fact a body, but a decapitated dog which is something else. Cutting off a dog's head is a sort of crime if it is alive. Cutting off a dog's head if it is dead is small claims court, if someone is impelled by an innate humanism and possession of its papers. But that's beside the point, as the Humane Society dropped by to add that the dog was only a raccoon, which did have a head, which they found by checking the tops of its shoulders. At this point, the reporter who filed the story got in her car and went home, or more likely took the bus home, or very possibly just phoned the department from home to get an update, wearing boy-cut shorts and a tank top in bed, drinking coconut water. Raccoons do actually make great pets. But no police department on Earth will investigate the death of a raccoon with a head. Raccoons are pests because they have the intellect to understand the concept of a gift, but lack the social discretion to understand when a gift is intended. Raccoons are bowled over by the generosity of garbage day. Raccoon folk songs are hosannas in our names. On the advice of armchair experts, who in a less enlightened age were called spinsters, I have spent hours slowly blinking at my pet cat, which is allegedly how kittens kiss. I know also that cats hiss, people slit, to mimic poisonous snakes. Their meow is attuned so we attend to them like human babes. From a distance, say the height of a bridge, contrasted by rushing water, a cat might resemble a raccoon without a head, perhaps half a dog, some chunk of a person so small no one would think to bother anyone about it. They would consider eating us, our cats I mean, if only they were bigger. And I think I'll do two more, if I like any of the poems that I have up here. That's an important consideration. If also I can find. Okay. I've done this one like 1,000 times, so people who have seen me read a lot will have seen me do this one, but if you haven't, I don't know, maybe they still like it, so maybe you will. This one's, I was a big professional wrestling fan, still kind of follow it, and this is based loosely off a true story. So it's called Bleeders. I tore a man's ear off once. I didn't plan it that way. But when I pulled his head through the twisted ropes that night, it just didn't all come with. He couldn't hear for shit after, so I had to get real close. When I whispered the next move to him, I could have licked his eyeball from the inside. I don't recall who won the match. You get to the show and some prick in a double-breasted suit's written your fate out on a whiteboard. And when it's over, he just wipes it away. So no, I don't recall his hand they raised that night. But hours after, my spit was still pink. Now that steroid Van Gogh keeps what the docs could retrieve in a ball where his ear used to be, waiting for the day they find some way to draw him a new one. I feel it against my bicep when I grasp him in a headlock, a lost little nipple in his sweaty hair that I put there. And still I drive my knuckles down into his forehead most every night, angled sharp as flint against fire steel, looking to draw a little bit of that juice that people come for. Now there's two ways to make a man a crimson mask in this business, and that's the hard way. Easy way is the razor blade I keep hidden in my wrist tape. When I was younger, smoother, drawing that edge across my forehead was like opening an envelope. Now it's sawing mutton. The scars. My body's attempts to protect me from myself. You know, I've had wives who learned to kiss those wounds, but none have ever kissed that wounding. I'm just glad the man with the money said, it's the other guy's turn to get hurt tonight. And I got one more. Super nice what Jeff said about me, super nice what Chris said about me at the open mic, super nice what you were clearly all thinking about me all night. You didn't have to say it, I could see it all over your faces. Actually, it's kind of cool that I'm reading with Jeff for what is presumably my last reading here for a while, because when I first went to Carleton, I remember picking up a copy of Inwards, the Carleton student magazine, And I like read it over, and I was like really desperately trying to find a thing that would be my thing. Like I tried out for Sock and Buskin, the theater company. Ooh. I'm sure they're great. I never went to their show because they didn't cast me. But I remember the one poem that I remember reading at the time being like, wow, and then kind of discovering that I would quote it over the years. Like it was just one of my like cheap quotes, and I'd be like, some guy wrote it. And then I actually like met him like years after, and I was like kind of geeking out, which is like weird when it's just like a person who's at the party and no one cares. But the first half of the poem goes something like, university is high school after the poor kids and the dumb kids have been asked to leave the room. And I thought that was the coolest shit. So this is a poem for my friends. All you get to be my friends tonight. It's actually for my buddy Evan Lee's press that she's working on called Hussy. And it starts with a quote from John Gay's The Beggar's Opera. And thank you all for being here. Thanks for indulging me. So this is called Blessings for Hussy. You baggage, you hussy, you inconsiderate jade. Had you been hanged, it would not have vexed me, for that might have been misfortune. But to do such a mad thing by choice? Cheers to you who choose to talk the language no one talks, scraping a rhyme of death from a frosted window, just to behold ye old earth again, unused and glistening. Be loose. May you talk and talk. Cheers to you who keep peace and bother none with the black fire of your despair. Be easy. May your quiet catch a brighter flame from an unguessed at star. We, who are not the night, but the in the night, who are not the moon, but wildness, us mummers, us dodgers, us filchers and jades, we who devil meaning and weep in the foyer's banks. The sun's a hole cut in a linen sheet, spread between two people who will never glimpse one another in the act of love. Go in with your hands out, and the dark will not trouble us. For by the dark, we shall know our way. Thanks, guys.